this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Get It Right, Texoma. With the trio, I'm Mike Hedren, Terry McAdams, Trey Sarala, all three of us here together. Morning, fellas.
Morning.
How we
Guten
doing?
Morgen, as they say in the land of Germany.
Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen.
Yes.
Okay.
It's one of the few things in German that doesn't sound very angry.
Yeah, usually it sounds, either does sound like you're pissed off or clearing your throat.
Everything
Sorry,
just
Gabby,
so angry.
if you're watching this.
Nah, there's nothing wrong with that. My family's Czech, and the Czech language is even more harsh than the German language, even though I don't speak Czech. Yeah. I know one word. Bivo means beer. That's all I know in German.
Bivo.
I mean, Czech.
Yeah. That's kind of where my Spanish is somewhat limited, but I do know cervezas.
Yeah. You know, más cervezas, por favor.
Yeah. Or at least those cervezas, or tres cervezas, come on. Hook a brother up here. Anyway, this podcast being brought to you by Eddie Hills Fun Cycles, located 401 North Scott, downtown Wichita Falls since 1966. EddieHillsFunCycles.com.
For all your power sports needs in Texoma.
Amen to that. MacTech Solutions, located 4020 Ray Road in Wichita Falls, Suite 3B. Online at mactech-solutions.com.
For all your IT needs in Texoma. That's going to be my tag.
He's loving it. He's loving it. Yes, and we are recording this podcast in the MacTech Solutions podcast studio, as a matter of fact. Also brought to you by Lollie Pops Sweet Shop, online at lpsweet.com and on Facebook as well.
A great way to gain weight in Texoma.
Exactly.
No, the cookies are wonderful.
The cookies
they
are wonderful.
Awesome.
They're low fat. They're low sugar.
Yeah, don't worry about
they're
it.
healthy.
Look, it's one of those deals. It's like anything else in moderation.
I'm planning next week to bring one of our pies in, probably the chocolate
taste
meringue.
test.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, let's be fair. None of us and most of the people watching here are not fighting in the next UFC coming up. You don't need to worry about cutting weight.
No.
A cookie, a couple of cookies, a couple dozen cookies, will not bother you. A cookie or two won't bother you. Hey, look at me.
Hey,
That's the problem with 2 dozen cookies. It's like ice cream. If you ever read the serving on ice cream, it says, what's the serving? It's like a quarter of a cup or some shit like that.
Well,
as far as I'm concerned, the serving is when the spoon hits the bottom of the tub.
Okay, when I was in high school, I worked at Baskin Robbins. It was a 2.5 ounce scoop. Now they're that's a junior scoop,
right?
And the adult scoop is 4 ounces.
Oh my gosh!
And I have an official Baskin Robbins scooper that I didn't steal from the Baskin Robbins.
I was gonna say,
no. And but I bought it at a grocery store. They actually had one. It's an official one, just like I had.
Yeah,
I still have it. It was the 2.5 ounce scoop version. But just so you know,
Baskin Robbins makes some of the best ice cream. They make a peanut butter and chocolate ice cream.
Yep.
Yeah,
it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, some of the best ice cream. They sell it here locally. It's called Tillamook.
Oh yeah. That's pretty good stuff.
I've been to the Tillamook factory when I was in the West Coast. Mm-hmm. It's in Oregon, Tillamook, Oregon, and it's so creamy and had ice cream at the Tillamook.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have butter and all the
cream cheeses and stuff like that. All kinds of different cheeses.
That's their version of Bluebell, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's actually, I think it's better than Bluebell. And I hate to say that because I'm a Texas guy.
I know, that's what I was about to say is I'm a Texan, and Bluebell's pretty good, but actually, no, it's nothing against.
I'll tell you what.
I like Baskin Robbins, and I like, and even Brahms has pretty good ice cream.
Brahms has got really good ice cream.
If you want a real experience, I think it is the last remaining Borden's ice cream shop/store in the country. It is in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Okay.
It's the old style look cafe to it. It's got the Borden's branded place. They serve burgers, they serve ice cream, shakes and sundaes and all this stuff. You can go in there and it's like you're transported back to the 50s, man.
Right. Yeah.
It is really, really cool. It's a really cool
I would like
place.
someone to have a nice little ice cream shop here. That would be a fun place because I remember as a kid in Fort Worth, O'Larry's.
Yeah.
Ice cream. It was 1849 Village there on University Drive near the Forest Park Zoo, and just a little bit further down, it's TCU. But anyway.
Well,
sorry.
there used to be one in Wichita Falls, and I don't recall the name of it, but there was one on 9th Street.
Well, Guffey's used to have a pretty, even when we were kids, didn't Guffey's have an old soda fountain type thing?
Yeah, they did. They had one. Doolin's Pharmacy that used to be on Brook had one. There were a number of them. Downtown, there was a Rexall drugstore many years ago that had them. Those were very commonplace in the 40s and the 50s and into the 60s and even into the 70s.
Yeah.
But I remember the one on 9th Street. I don't recall the name of it, but it was there on 9th Street here in Wichita Falls, right across from Trail. Remember 9th Street Food Store?
Oh yeah, 9th
right
Street
there.
grocery store. Yeah.
It was right across the street from them, and I remember going there when I was a child. But that was long.
Well, they
50
still
years
when
ago
you're talking
now,
about
45 years ago.
destinations though. The Bluebell, we talked about Bluebell. The Bluebell Factory is still a great tour.
Oh, yeah.
It's a real cool tour down in Brenham. So if you get a chance, go down and check that, which is really good ice cream, too, by the way. But it's a neat tour. But then also the original Dr. Pepper place is in Waco.
Yeah.
And they have a tour there, and they have an old
Right.
fashioned soda jerk.
Right, but
site.
it's unfortunate they lost their. I looked that up to kind of remind myself what happened. Remember, they lost their right to manufacture.
Yeah,
No,
you
that
had
was
bottle
you're
Dublin.
thinking of Dublin.
That's Dublin.
Oh,
Two
no,
different
that-
places.
oh.
Dr. Pepper, the original Dr. Pepper place is not in Dublin. Is in Waco.
Well, that's true. Okay,
Yeah,
they're
Dublin,
close enough. Yeah,
right.
that's
Dublin
right.
has the Dublin Dr. Pepper. It was a
Right.
pure cane sugar.
Right.
It was a neat tour. Yeah, they've
Right.
closed that down.
Well,
But-
the bottling plant's still there. They're
right,
just, but they're not
they
making Dr.
They
Pepper.
don't make Dr. Pepper, but they also used to have a tour and of the bottling plant. I don't believe they do the tours anymore. And they used to have an old school or an old fashioned.
Yeah, they
soda
still have.
fountain
Yeah,
thing.
that's all still there.
I don't believe it is.
Yeah, I researched it the other day just to catch up. and
Go
it seems
double
like-
check because the last time I was through there, the
Really?
only way you could get the Dublin soda was to drive up to the office that's behind the bottling plant there and just buy it by the case right there.
Oh,
yeah, you
okay.
couldn't go
Well,
in or any of that.
The
sort of stuff.
Dublin sodas, they're still making a variety of sodas. And here locally in our area, I know Atwood's Farm and Ranch sells them.
Oh, interesting.
And I think Market Street has some of it. I don't know how much they sell, but I think Market Street had at least a couple of varieties. I think they had the root beer and maybe one of the colas, but I do know that they do also have them at Atwood's Farm and Ranch store on Loop
Yeah, they
11,
still make
so.
it, but I don't believe that you could. They have a retail type store anymore.
No, not
They
not like
didn't.
they
They
used
didn't
to.
a couple of years ago because my wife and I were through there. We're going through there. It's like, hey, let's swing by
Let's
there.
save open something else
Yeah,
up.
let's get. And they said nope. They didn't have the retail store was closed, and you had to go around it because she wanted a case of it, so we had to go to the office and get it. So
Hey, the Downtown Art Walk is back on again.
yeah, these are neat. Started last month.
Yep, first Thursday of the month and runs through October. It's 5:30 to 9 each Thursday. And most of the downtown businesses, I think, in that area get together on this and work together on this. Quite honestly, if you're a downtown business and you're anywhere close to where the Art Walk happens and you're not taking part in this, you're missing out.
Oh, there's a lot of people down there, and there's street vendors and food trucks and all kinds of neat stuff down there. And then also they open up the farmers market.
They do.
And they have that kind of deal. So it's a really fun time, something to do here in Wichita Falls. So if you get a chance, go check out the Art Walk.
Yep.
It's the first Thursday of the month.
Yep. And then coming up here really quick, Local for Cinco, May the 4th from 2 to 10. They're going to have a big fiesta. They're going to have live boxing, music, authentic food, mural painting. It's all going to happen at 806 Travis Street.
Yeah, which
Wichita
is,
Falls.
I don't know what that was. Was that the old Straight Street? It's over there by the, there's a row of buildings, and it's like by the old square dance place.
The old Straight Street was on Austin, 8th and Austin.
Okay, I don't know, but anyhow, that's where it's going to be, is on Travis Street.
Yeah.
Of course, it's in favor. It's on the 4th. It's on Cuatro de Mayo because that's what falls on a Saturday. But it's the Cinco de Mayo celebration.
Oh, so
Mexican Independence Day.
Cinco de Mayo on Cuatro de Mayo.
So, well, I have one other thing to add real quick.
Okay.
Tomorrow, of course, we're recording this on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So tomorrow, Wednesday the 1st, the Small Business Development Center is allowing me to come in and talk to a group of folks about AI and how you might be able to use that in your business. Awesome. So it's a free event.
They're going to let you in the door?
I guess they'll let me in because they need somebody down in the front. It's in the big science hall. I don't know, Bowling. Is it Bowling? I don't know.
Bowling Science Hall's but it's undergoing some renovation.
Well, I'm in this big room.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm in.
They have several
rooms.
of those.
Yeah. So exactly. It's in the big room, so there's plenty of seats. But just go to the Small Business Development Center. Google it on. Google it on Google. So Google it and look it up and see if you can find the thing. But they just like
it's
to know
out in Midwestern State,
right? MSU, Midwestern State University.
So people aren't just driving around Wichita Falls aimlessly looking for a small
business.
There you
go.
It's the Small Business Development Centers are a really great organization, and they have been instrumental in helping a lot of local entrepreneurs get launched. They offer some great free resources, some great information.
Well, your tax money's paying for it. And both from they're housed here at MSU. They've been around. I used their services along when I first got out of the Air Force when I wanted to take my business full time. Vanda Culler is the director of the center.
Yes,
and they've got several other folks over there, very talented, knowledgeable people. And I think if you are looking at, even if you have a business and you're wanting to expand or you want some advice or whatever, they'll go over there. We ought to have her on.
We should.
She
should be a guest.
So, but anyway, Small Business Development Center tomorrow, 11:30.
So say tomorrow is what?
Wednesday the 1st.
Wednesday,
May the 1st.
May 1st.
That way people have context.
Yes.
If somebody watches this 3 weeks from now, they're not going to. So May the 1st.
Yeah. May the 1st or May the 1st. I mean, however you want to say that, I guess. May the 1st. May the 1st be with you. Okay. Anyway, let's see here. So one of our leaders in the community and somebody whose name will be familiar to a lot of people has passed away. Dorothy Roberts Burns has passed away. Correct, Trey?
That is correct. Yeah, Dorothy Roberts Burns was a very influential person in the Wichita Falls community for so many years. Served on city council, I believe, organized the Martin Luther King breakfast for many, many years, was just a great community leader across demographics, and she will be sorely missed, but she did pass away after an illness, and so our condolences go out to her family, and really, really a wonderful woman. I remember times visiting with her, and just somebody who's very full of knowledge and always poised. She was one of those people, you know how people exude class? She was one of those people that just exuded class. When you were in Mrs. Burns' presence, you understood you were in the presence of somebody who was very poised and very knowledgeable and had a lot of wisdom and just a very classy lady, and just one of those people who was very influential in Wichita Falls for decades and decades, and she will be sorely missed here in our community.
Yeah, she served on the Wichita Falls City Council one point, right?
Yes, she was city councilor.
Yeah. And again, our condolences to her, her family, and all those that were close to her. And it was a large number of people, I'm sure. For protesters to secure a criminal conviction, they must convince a jury that Trump committed the crime of falsifying business records. Or prosecutors. What did I say?
Protesters.
Protesters.
Because we got protesting doing too. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's try that again. For prosecutors to secure a criminal conviction, they got to convince the jury that Trump committed the crime of falsifying business records in the furtherance of another crime. And now I did see something yesterday. Apparently, and this is the trial that's going on in New York.
This is the correct? New York trial I mean, we really have touched on it, but we haven't really discussed it much because it is a little ambiguous. It's been very ambiguous.
Well, a couple of former attorneys general have chimed in on this, including Edwin Meese.
Yes.
Who I think was AG under Reagan.
Yeah, I'm surprised Edwin Meese is still around.
I am too, but apparently he's chimed in on it. There seems to be some question about this this prosecutor. Is it Jack Smith? Is that his name?
I believe that's right, yes.
Guys, I'll tell you what.
Or is it really, if you were going to have an alias, wouldn't that be one of your aliases?
Yeah.
Sounds like a made-up name.
It does.
It's all Jack Smith over there, huh?
It really is the whole situation is a mess. It looks like, though, the Supreme Court came out, I think it was last week, so sometime in the last 5 or 6 days, and basically said that, presidents are immune from prosecution on some things. They do have immunity on certain things. It's looking more and more like that, yes, this is a political witch hunt, number one, and number two, a lot of this is going to end up being just a nothing burger.
Well, if I was a taxpayer in New York, I would be pissed off.
Well,
you're spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on this, especially considering you're letting people go loose, and I mean you're letting people defecate on streets and not follow laws, not follow immigration laws, not follow prosecution laws, not follow so many things, but yet you're going to drag this guy in and spend millions of dollars trying to hang a conviction on something that was a minor, it was a misdemeanor, and they've tried to enhance it it was a misdemeanor that was past the statute of limitations on top of that, that they've tried to enhance it up to a felony. I mean, they're wasting a lot of time and effort on this thing, and there's a lot of things. Yeah. There's a lot of other shit to be done in New York City, by the way.
This is not Frank Reagan's New York Police Department either.
No, it's not.
and look, and I'm not. Look, if Trump broke a law, a real law, I'm all for Joe Biden, Trump, any of these guys. I don't care. You ought to prosecute. Everybody should be held to the same standards. But the problem is they're not being held to the same standards because you look at all the things that so many other people have done that are along the same lines, and there's no prosecution here.
Well,
no prosecution there.
It's not just it's the timing of it.
Oh yeah,
you look at the timing of all this stuff. But you talked about how people ought to be mad about this. Let me tell you why they're not, and why this is happening the way it is. It's something that I preached about on the air for years. Is ignorance and apathy. It's something that career politicians count on. Ignorance and apathy. Ignorance, not meaning people are stupid, but people are just ignorant of facts. They just don't know.
Right. The word ignorant, people have used like ignorance a derogatory word, and it can be used derogatorily. But the word ignorant just means that you are lacking knowledge and facts.
Right.
That's what ignorant means.
Right. And we're all ignorant of something in some realm. We can't all know everything, but politicians count on ignorance and apathy. The public's ignorance of facts and truth and what's really going on, and apathy, the unwillingness to be involved, the desire to just disconnect yourself from it, being apathetic. Career politicians count on those two things, and they know in what they're doing here with Trump, they know that there's enough ignorance and apathy out there that there are millions of people who have no clue what's going on, who don't understand what's going on because they haven't taken the time to educate themselves on it, and who simply don't care. Most people live in a bubble. They're in their own little world, and they're. It's not that they're insulated from it. They're just their minds and their lives are so busy with other things that they don't take the time to.
Well, it's the same. The ignorance and apathy extends. You're correct. It is politicians, but yes, and let me do some improv here. Yes, and it's the same reason why the salacious headlines are made by the media.
Oh yes,
clickbait.
Oh yes,
is ignorance and apathy, because I read the headline and go, oh no, and then how many times have you read the headline and then read the body of the story, and it's like that's exactly opposite of what the damn headline says.
Sometimes
so frustrating.
The media says and does things that are just it's borderline slanderous. But, the media is protected by the First Amendment. The media gets a pass on this, a pass on that. But yet so many people never get past the headline now. They never get past the 10 or 20-second soundbite now. They never dig any deeper. An article may be, 12 paragraphs long, but they don't get past the headline and maybe the first synopsis of the article, and that's it. They never go any deeper.
Can I?
And the media knows that.
Yeah. Can I add on to that? So we've, in our podcast, we've been playing with some technologies and that, and we want to promote our show. To go right along with that. Remember the clip that I sent you guys yesterday
about the minimum wage?
And, there's a quote and you can go look for it. But my my concern here is that video got how many? 1199, I think is what I posted. It's over 1,200 or 1,400 now, or 1,700
in a very short period of time.
Right, and it's just interesting how people like that, and they're just flipping through, and they're seeing these, and that's where they're getting their information from, these short clips. And we want you to take the time and come and listen and what we have on the long form.
Get the whole story.
And so it's just interesting how that is so popular.
Yep.
And yet, we have a challenge just, getting started, because there's so much out there. And it's just because people have they get that quick hit, if you will. And we're all guilty of it to some extent.
Sure.
But it is interesting. But I think what you have to do is have to take time and think about what you're doing and what you're scrolling and understand it. And then when you do say, I heard of something, try to remember where it's at, and also remember that was a headline or it was a short clip or something. Don't say, hey, because I do that. I said, well, I saw a headline the other day, and I don't know the context yet. I haven't read it. But that's the thing, because how often have we read a headline and you go reading it and find out, what does it have to do with it? This is completely opposite.
Or sometimes it was opposite. Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And
that's
it's
what I said earlier.
how do that should be, it's free speech, I guess. I don't want to call it illegal, but it's near criminal, but
the other thing that's criminal on this is this judge gagging Trump. I mean, the fact of the matter is this guy is running for the president of the United States. It goes back to, if you don't think you can beat him at the ballot box, let's try to take him out. And it's by any means necessary. Yeah. And some of these people are brainwashed. And what I don't understand, and once again, and I'm going to say this again, like I said on the last podcast or last time we talked about Trump, I am not a Trump fan. I'm a fan of his policies. I'm not a fan of the person. I don't care for Donald Trump. I will vote for Donald Trump because he's way better than Joe Biden. But I would have been fine with somebody else who came in and got the Republican nomination who had Trump-like policies but wasn't the asshole that Trump is. Okay? Yeah. But all that being said, he is running for president. Yep. And these people that are so brainwashed to think that they have to stop him by any means necessary, what the hell are you thinking? Yeah. The guy's been the president. The guy's been in public life for 4 decades, let's say, at least, okay? People loved him until he ran for the Republican nomination. He was the president for 4 years. We didn't have wars. We didn't have nuclear war. We didn't have this. Yeah, we had some big kind of bolster guy up there going bar, 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 like that. But guess what? We had a great economy. The world was not at peace. The world will never be at peace. No. But the peace wasn't, or the conflicts weren't spilling over everywhere. Right. So now all of a sudden, and this guy's a racist and a misogynist and a thisophobe and a thatophobe, but he wasn't until he was 68 and a half? That's insane. Yeah. Use your brain. Well, people got to use their goddamn brain.
Well, you go back 30 years, 35 years, and you can find interviews with Barbara Walters, Oprah Winfrey, and probably at least a half a dozen other journalists. And
the who's who, basically the who's who of journalism at the time.
Yeah, all interviewing Trump, and they all prodded him about, would you want to be president one day? Would you have an interest in being president one day? They all prodded him on it, and they were all behind. And the one that really gets me is the one with Oprah Winfrey on her show. She is practically giddy, like a little girl who just got a new doll, giddy, over the idea that Donald Trump might run for president. I mean, she's practically running around through the audience talking to people. She's so giddy about it.
And you get a president, and you get a president, and you get a president.
But yet, he runs as a Republican, and all of a sudden he's public enemy number one.
And he's Hitler.
Yes.
Stop this. Please stop the Hitler bullshit. Sorry about this, Darren. I'll shut up in a minute. Please stop the Hitler bullshit. Please. I beg you. Yeah. Hitler was a real person. It's the same thing. To me, it's tantamount to if you call sexual assault something that's really not sexual assault, you're cheapening what it really is. Right. And you're doing a disservice. Same thing. Yes. Hitler was a real person. He really did horrible, disgusting things. Stalin was a real person. They did horrible, disgusting things. Quit using Hitler and Stalin as examples of modern day people. Yeah. There are nobody in America. Now, there are people in other parts of the world. Kim Jong-un would probably fall into that. Yep. But there are no American politicians, American anything that have any influence that are Hitler or Stalin.
Right.
All right, I'll shut up.
What I was going to say is that also, just the funny thing is that South Park predicted it too. that Trump would be president. So there you go. South Park has apparently predicted a lot of stuff.
The Simpsons too.
Yeah, the Simpsons.
The Simpsons. They've had, but here's the thing though. I think there were so many people in the media, in Hollywood, celebrities and whatnot, that were all, they all hobnobbed around with Donald Trump when he was a celebrity.
Sure.
And so many of these people that have, all these celebrities in particular, that have come out and said such horrible, inflammatory things about Donald Trump, those same people were partying with him at Mar-a-Lago. They were partying with him at his golf courses. They were partying with him at his hotel in New York City. They have been in lockstep with this guy and on his coattail simply because he's a very wealthy man and a celebrity. But then he announces he's running for president, and he's running for president as a Republican, and all of a sudden he's the Nazi party.
Yeah, they were drinking his booze, they were eating his food, and they were accepting his donations.
Yes, very much so.
Because Donald Trump has famously donated to both parties, to candidates in both parties.
Well, not to mention countless charities, not to mention countless charitable organizations that a lot of these same celebrities have championed and themselves raised money for. And, now, again, he's public enemy number one for them. And they've done nothing but vilify this guy and his entire family. And let me ask you, do you think that the media would have sat still for some of the if some of the things that have been said about Melania Trump had been said about
Michelle Obama,
Barbara Bush, what George W. Bush's wife? What was her name? I'm sorry, I just drew a blank on her name. But either one of the Bushes, the father or son,
right?
Rosalind Carter,
Nancy
Reagan, even them. Would the media have sat still if anybody had called Nancy Reagan a slut? Would anybody have sat still for that?
No.
No.
Well,
but they have called Melania Trump that. People in the media have called her that. People in the media have called her worse than that.
They've called her gold digger too, and it's like, she was wealthy.
Yes,
she made her own money.
Well, and they've actually called her ignorant. That ignorant first lady speaks 5 languages fluently
and owns businesses and started on her own businesses and that sort of thing.
How many of you can say that?
She started out. She got a break because of her looks. You know what? Some people just win the lottery. She got a break because of her looks, but she had the brains to go with it.
Yeah.
And has made a multi-millions of dollars, employed a lot of people. Like you said, speaks multiple languages fluently. By all accounts, is a very good mother. Jeez.
Well, a lot of it, guys, you know as well as I do, a lot of this is rooted in jealousy.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
A lot of it's rooted in jealousy. You have people out there.
Laura Bush, by the way, is the name of
Laura Bush. Thank you. I'm sorry.
I got Jenna Bush in which was one of the daughters.
Daughters, yes.
I got Jenna Bush locked in my head, and sometimes you get something locked in, and it's almost like you got to hit the delete button, Terry.
Yep.
You got to hit the backspace button and get that out.
Clear
of
the cache.
Yeah,
she may have been in the news more than Laura Bush was. I don't know.
That's why I went.
But I apologize for having a senior moment there on her name. But no, a lot of it's rooted in jealousy, and you have a lot of men and women alike who are very jealous of the fact that Melania Trump is this super attractive 50-something woman who also happens to be wildly intelligent.
And by the way, it comes
across
very well
educated,
very classy. She's not. She's always been very classy, very elegant, and that sort of stuff. Take her looks out of it.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Barbara Bush was not a good-looking woman, but she was a classy person.
Yeah.
Laura Bush was attractive.
Yeah.
But Barbara Bush wasn't. But Barbara Bush was a classy woman, and Melania Trump seems like she's a very classy person.
I just can't.
I don't think that.
I can't imagine
Michelle
the media.
Obama is classy though. I never saw classy with her.
No.
I'm sorry. Now Barack Obama came across as a classy guy.
Yeah.
But Michelle Obama never came across as a classy woman.
You know, I don't think the media would have sat still for the same treatment for any of the other first ladies. And some people in the media have they've trumpeted it like it's fact. These horrible things they've said about her. I think this is the thing. Donald Trump didn't need this job.
No.
Donald Trump, he didn't get in.
It probably cost him more money.
Oh, my God. It's cost him.
Because he's got to run for president. He funds a lot of that with his own money.
Well, and now
it's cost him millions and millions of dollars and cost him years off his life. Come on, let's be fair.
The legal bills now.
Oh, yeah.
The stress.
Friends.
The stress on his
they weren't
children.
real friends then.
You know,
that's true. But
the stress on his children, the stress on his marriage, the stress on his wife, the stress on his those that are close, his inner circle. You know, this is not a job the guy needed at all. It's not like he got into this because he needed the paycheck, for God's sakes.
Definitely not. $400,000 a year is like nothing.
Yeah, you know,
well, he didn't even take it. He was donating.
Right, he
it.
was donating.
He gave it back sent it back to the Treasury, didn't he?
Yeah. He would donate it back to the Treasury for for the Defense Department or for whatever. I believe he specified which department.
So it didn't save anything. But hey, you know, oh well. Hey, just
take my money, please.
I'm on the CNN website. It's an article. It's an updated live article, and they said 5 minutes ago said Trump is speaking to his son Eric in the courtroom.
Boy, that's news, isn't it?
Yes, wow. Donald Trump has entered the courtroom. Walking down the center aisle. And
oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Boy, you see
play by play. I know. They got,
yeah. Donald Trump adjusted his junk before he sat down. I mean, come on. Jeez, let's go, y'all.
Talk about intelligence. I've actually briefly met Eric Trump and Don Jr., both of them, and both very, very smart guys, and very, very connected, I think, to their father, in terms of a father-son relationship and a business relationship too.
Yeah,
but very smart guys, and I got to meet both of them very briefly a few years ago.
Well, here's what I've heard, and I've heard several people in the media, and I don't know if they're full of crap or not, but people that didn't have a dog in the hunt, that are not necessarily Trump people, that say all the Trump kids are very well put together kids.
Yeah,
including Ivanka. So the people that know him, that have been around, people that have been on the Celebrity Apprentice and been around those kids, a number of those celebrities who do not like Trump at all will tell you those kids seem like they have a good relationship with their father, and they're all very well put together and good people. So he's done something right, obviously.
And you got to admit, if you were one of Trump's kids, I mean, you would want to be out of the spotlight. You really would want to be out of the spotlight.
I think that's why Ivanka's really kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
She was a big part of his first presidency, and she said, I don't want any more of this shit. I don't blame her. She's raising her family and that sort of thing, and who needs the nastiness?
Yeah. And it is nasty and unnecessarily so.
Absolutely.
So I guess we'll move on from here. Guys, thank you for being with us for this podcast. I think we've probably pretty well run this one out here. Anyway, thank you again for joining us.
Just like Barack Obama did with the American public. We wrung it out.
Wrung them out. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Get It Right, Texoma. I'm Mike Hendren. This is Terry McAdams. That's Trey Serralo. Again, it's brought to you by Eddie Hills Fun Cycles, 401 North Scott, downtown Wichita Falls.
That's 2 thumbs up.
EddieHillsFunCycles.com, MacTech Solutions, 4020 Railroad Suite 3B, MacTech-Solutions.com, and Lollie Pops Sweet Shop, LPSweet.com, and on Facebook as well. Just look for Lollie, Lollie, and Pops, Pops, Sweet Shop on Facebook. Until next time, guys, y'all take care. Have a good time out there, but do be sure to join us again for our next episode. Until then, we'll see you down the road, guys.